I will attempt to diagnose the sagging suspension on this BMW without the use of any scan tool on 2 jack stands. The owner started driving the 7 Series after 8 months of not driving it. The owner said every morning it's sagging, but during the day it's okay. The AC also smells like roadkill. So I start with what I know. I'm looking for signs of a rodent or critter present in the engine bay. I find some insulation eaten away in the strut tower and at the back of the engine. With the vehicle secured on the jack stands, I removed both rear tires to get a closer look at the compressor and the air spring. The compressor is located at the rear left behind the wheel arch panel, and the leaking air spring is at the rear right. Since we know there is a rat, a thorough inspection of the airline is necessary. So we got the panel removed. The rear left air spring is the red line. Here you can see a reserve tank and another reserve tank over here. This is where all the compressed air gets stored, so it can be used as it needs. And then right in here is where the compressor is at. Now the blue line right here, this is for the rear right, the black is the front right, green is front left, and the red right here is the rear left. So we're going to be trying to focus on this rear right blue line right here to see if we can find the leak anywhere in the airline. Now chances are the line is okay, but I do have to do a thorough inspection just because I do know there is a rat in here somewhere. So there is a chance that the rat could chew one of these wires or one of these air lines and be causing that very slow leak. So we're going to go ahead and reconnect the battery, turn on that compressor, get these airbags filled up, and look for the leak. Now let's see if we could trick this air compressor to turn on. See, it doesn't seem to be turning on. And I do believe it's because the suspension's kind of sagging, so it's making it seem like it is filled. So there's no need for this to turn on right now. So this here is the level sensor. Now with the arm kind of sagging down, as this little arm goes up and down, it sends a little signal to the sensor letting it know what level it's at. So right now with the car lifted a little bit, this arm is sagging down, making it seem like the car is at its proper ride height. So I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect this, raise this up, kind of trick this sensor into thinking that it's completely deflated. All right, so let's see if this works, as I'm not exactly sure if it will. Let's see if we could trick this. Kind of lift this up to its highest position here. Let's see if that'll trick the compressor into turning on. Okay, we've turned on pad mode or ignition mode, and it doesn't seem to be turning on. Usually turning on the compressor and manually filling the airbags is very simple when you have the correct scan tool or ISTA. Now getting the compressor to turn on is not easy as it seems because there is no switch. It only turns on when it needs to fill the airbags. The control unit uses inputs from sensors on the air spring and the level sensors mounted on each control arm to determine whether it needs to be filled or not. Okay, so as of now, I haven't been able to turn on the compressor. So we're just gonna end up putting air into this manually. Right under this boot is where I will suspect the leak to be coming from. So we just gotta put air in this air spring. Douse this in soapy water or some sort of lubricant and just look for air bubbles. So here's the air line right here, this blue one. You can see it's coming up right up here. I'll take this off and put air straight into there. So to put air into this and test it out, we're gonna have to remove this from the car. We got one bolt down here and 3 nuts up there, which are accessed through the inside of the car under these panels over here. Now this has a rear sunshade, so we're gonna have to be careful with removing that, remove these side panels, and the whole rear seats are gonna come out. Okay, so we got the rear seat out of the way here now. Next thing to do is remove both seat pillars, one there, one over there. That'll give us access to remove the rear shelf. So what I've learned is to remove this shelf, you gotta remove this and the seat pillar. To remove this, you need to remove this piece. And to remove this piece, you need to remove this piece. Bolt for the seatbelt. Okay, so with all the panels apart, we have everything apart over here, up to there. Same thing on this side, everything's apart over here. Now we can finally get to work on that shelf. So here you can see we still don't have access to those screws. It looks like we got to remove the rear sunshade that goes all the way across. So we'll go ahead and do that. Now we should be able to lift this up and pull it on out. Very easy. Okay, now you can peel back the insulation here. And you'll see the 3 nuts holding up the strut right here. So we'll go ahead and get those out and then work on that one bolt underneath. And we should be able to pull the strut out. Now in case you didn't know, these nuts are by BMW standards a one-time use. So do not reuse these. Get new ones when you go to replace these. Alright, so now this is nice and loose. And this is the only bolt we got to take off. But first we got to undo the wire harness here, unhook it from the holders, and then we'll do that bolt. Now this bolt is on really tight. So I went ahead and loosened it by hand first. Now I'm just going to drive it out. So don't think I'm doing this with a small little bit driver. So now that you have this loose, you can undo the rest of the bolt and just hold it with one hand so it doesn't drop on you. See the size of this bolt? So you got a lot of threads to go before you actually undo it. And make sure you're holding it with your other hand, because this guy will just fall. And then you just guide it out. Okay, so there's the air spring. This is where it came out of. Now we're gonna go ahead and put air to this and see if we can see some bubbles. Okay, that's it. Okay. Oh, there it is. That's where the air's coming out from. Okay. The air goes in through here, and it's not supposed to leak out, obviously, but there's a tear somewhere in there, letting it leak out. Okay. So now that we know exactly what we need, let's go ahead and give BMW a call and get a price on this hairspring.
Hello, parts?
Hi, I just wanted to see if I can get a quote for an air spring. It's going to be the rear right air spring.
Okay. Yeah, the list price on this will be $21.15 and 63 cents. Oh, you know what? This one's not even available. It's on what side?
The rear right.
Yeah, rear right. Okay. Let me give you the price, but it's not available.
Okay.
It's on back order. 23.32 and 48 cents.
Okay, and it's on back order. Typically, like, how long does it take to come in?
This one, there's no ETA in this one, so it could take over a month.
So after I got off the phone with BMW, I called the owner of the car and let them know the sad news. This was way more expensive than even I had anticipated, and it's not even available. So we went looking for an alternative and found one on eBay. With a 2-year warranty, over 85% cheaper, saving $1,994.54. Now, there is always a risk when buying aftermarket, but the savings are too good, so we took the risk and we went with the eBay Airspring. 2 days later, we got our Airspring perfectly wrapped, undamaged, and now we can go ahead and compare the two. So first impressions on the new Airspring, everything looks the same. Everything looks good. Air fittings are in the same location. These connectors and pins are the same. Orientation of the nuts up on top are looking good. And here. We even have the same symbol and same numbers here and here, as well as the same numbers that go here. Same ones on this side. All right, so let's put it on and see what happens. So we got the nuts tightened down up on top. Now the problem is that the airbag is inflated, kind of. So the entrance here needs to go way up here, and I can't push down on this wheel carrier. So we gotta loosen up some of these bolts to loosen up the suspension to be able to bring this on down to match there. So I don't know if this is going to be able to be the one to loosen so I can bring it down, but we're just gonna try one and see what happens. So I got the bottom one off, but we're still coming up short. I can definitely get a lot closer now, but we're almost there. So let's try removing this one now. See if we can get the rest of the way. It is times like this where I wish I had my lift in the shop because I have so much working space and don't struggle nearly as much as I am here. Eventually I got the bolt in though. Almost there. Alright, so I managed to get it in. So now we're just going to tighten this down, torque this to spec, and we'll start assembling the rest of the vehicle. We're going to tighten up the little nut right here, very, very low torque. You're looking at maybe 5-6 Newton meters, but you can't really put a torque wrench to it. So just grab your 10mm wrench and just snug it down. Don't go too crazy because it is plastic. Alright, so we got the Airspring strut fully installed. We got the bolt down here, fully torqued. Right here. Connectors are plugged in. Nuts up on top torqued down. And the airline torqued down as well. So now we're going to go ahead and put the fender liner back in and then start to work on the inside. So I ran into a little bit of bad luck here and the rest of the footage was corrupted and will not load up. This is the last of the footage I can get to load up, and the good news is there isn't much left other than replacing everything back in the car and inflating the airbags. I'm happy to say everything ended up working out just fine, and as of recording the last bit of the video, the car has been returned to the owner, is 4 months into the new Airspring, and is still running great. So if you liked the video, consider subscribing and I'll see you in the next one.